Welcome to this morning's edition of Bury Your Bookie. I'm Jeff DeForrest. Happy to have you guys with us because I believe it's time, perhaps, for a little self-examination here on the program, a metamorphosis of sorts, a vital transformation, and this comes about. This whole thought process comes about from a series of events that happened in the last 24 hours. The first of which, of course, was the college football championship game, Ohio State prevailing and covering the point spread in their battle with the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame. But it became so problematic from a mathematical standpoint, whichever side of the equation you happen to be on. And I started thinking, why am I agonizing over point spreads? Is this not sort of a primitive position to be in if you're a degenerate gambler? Now, it's tradition. This was always the way. Pick a side, either lay the points, take the points. You're vilified, crucified if you're always playing the chalk. In this case, the chalk looked attractive, whether you had it at 8.5 or 9 points, but certainly became prohibitive late in that ballgame. And think about that one doinked field goal, which was oddly attempted by Marcus Freeman, who was in a position to take a shot into the end zone there. He would have needed 2 touchdowns at the time, but that was a debatable call. The problem being, I don't know how many mathematical permutations, equations, considerations I went through trying to figure out if Ohio State, where I was laying 9, because once again, the guy that I was betting with gets his lines from the Jewish Journal or some monthly publication that is well behind the curve. I think the game might have even gone off as low as 8. So at worst, you were sitting in a position late in the ball game where it was going to be a push. And then Ryan Day starts running Howard into the line of scrimmage for no gain, play after play after play. And you're thinking, don't do this, Ryan. Don't do this to me. You're killing me. And all of this anxiety, all of this angst could have been saved if I just forgot completely about taking one side or the other against the points. So I'm starting to do, as I said, a little self-examination here, a little soul-searching, thinking perhaps the entire focus of the show should go through some kind of a change. Because where the money is really to be made, and the suffering that degenerate gamblers go through trying to accomplish a point spread comes down to, are they going to kick the field goal? I'm there doing the calculations. Okay, there are 2 minutes left. They have one timeout. 40 seconds are allotted on the play clock, so that's going to eat up 160 seconds. I'm fucked unless somehow they time this out. I guess they had one play before the 2-minute warning, and that kind of saved everybody. Otherwise, Ryan Day has no need to kick a field goal at the end of the ball game. You may as well have just shoved that ball right up your ass because you were not going to cover the point spread, especially at 8.5. So, well, why agonize over that? I mean, look what happened this morning, and this was transpiring as the Australian Open was being conducted, and everybody was looking forward to the Alcaraz match against Novak Djokovic, 10-time champion, greatest player of all time by just accomplishment alone. When you look at all the Grand Slams that he's won and all the different things that he's done, longevity. So you would not have given, and not even one nickel. Now, I'm not talking 500. I'm talking about 5 cents. You would not have given one nickel for his chances of winning this match if you saw him walk off the court, which he wasn't showing necessarily any limp, but he was clearly getting smoked because his knee was bothering him. So it's the same knee injured a little over a year ago, I guess, or about a year ago at the French Open. And he comes back very quickly as if Victor Conti was going to be seen in his box. And he plays, look, you can never count this guy out. He's got this mentality. If you're going to talk about a mentally tough, composed player, even though he has his moments where he freaks out like all tennis players do and starts throwing rackets and firing balls at officials, whatever. He's not a maniac like Nick Kyrgios in that regard, but he does snap from time to time. But there's nobody that's tougher out. I don't think in sports, but maybe entire history. He may be the definition of mentally tough, Novak Djokovic. So somehow, if you would bet him, no one would have bet him when he was walking off the court there after Alcaraz was in control of the first set. And you're thinking, this guy is finished. I don't know what kind of price you could have got on him, but that's going to be our focus from now on. We're talking in-game betting. Forget about all this anxiety that you have when you're trying to sweat out a point spread. It's just after a while, you're ready to be fitted with a jacket that ties in the back. Now, if you are betting, let's go to the right source. BetOnline continues to be the world's most trusted betting platform, your number one source for all online betting, from the earliest odds, in-game betting, which I think I'm now going to become a big fan of, in-game betting. Forget about the old school. Scotty M will address that. We'll let him go old school. We're going to become Gen X right here on Bury Your Bookie. But if you are betting in game and live action, will be provided for you at Bet Online, and you can watch the game and do whatever you want. I mean, you're really getting the full spectrum there. They have the largest selection of odds on everything from football. Only a couple of games left in a football season now, right? 3. The NBA and college basketball, NHL, UFC, boxing, whatever you want to bet on. Bet Online has it. Bet Online, the game starts here. We welcome to the program. And Scotty, I don't know if you caught any of my little exercise there in verbosity at the top of the show, but I'm thinking I'm Cro-Magnon man when it comes to being a degenerate. I believe you are too, even though you're a very young-looking individual. I know you've been doing this like 37 years. You probably were thinking about it, and were you like me? You were looking at race entries and results when you were in the third grade in the neighborhood Tribune? Yeah.
Definitely. I was looking at this stuff since I'm probably, to be honest with you, what got me into this and where I took it into a business mode down the road was I was always into numbers and I was always into trying to figure out who was going to win games and horse racing and things like that. So yeah, I've been doing this since I'm a young kid. So I get off on trying to figure out who's going to win these games, looking at numbers, trying to break it all down. Speaking of people out there that I speak to that I got confidence in and know the game inside and out to give me, I feel, that added edge, to try to figure out these games.
Yeah, I mean, and I've said this for a long, long time. If the line makers are running the country, then we wouldn't have had this whole shindig that went on yesterday and all the anxiety on both sides that seems to stem from just about everything the Trumpster does. I mean, they should have just anointed my man, Louis Lipschitz, my bookie and attorney, as president, because if the line makers are running the country, everybody would be filthy rich. Look, virtually every game, and this is where I'm having this sort of epiphany now. Virtually every game, it comes down to a series of mathematical permutations as you're sitting there going, oh shit, can I cover 8.5 with Ohio State last night?
Yeah,
Well, I
unbelievable.
don't know which side of that game you were on, but whichever it was, I mean, you're suddenly in there with at least a sign of life with Notre Dame, and now you're inside the point spread if you're getting 8.5. And if you were backing Ohio State, they seem to be crushing Notre Dame like a grape throughout the ball game, and all of a sudden, you're imperiled, and it looks like you're going to lose your money.
It's unbelievable how some of these games come down to like the very last situations. Matter of fact, that game last night, I did like Notre Dame. I thought they would keep that game tighter than the 8.5, 9 points that the line went up to, and the 3rd and 11. 2 minutes, 38 seconds left. All they got to do is, go for a first down, 15 yards, 20 yards. What do? They throw a 56-yard pass to
Yeah.
get the ball on the 10-yard line. I mean, it's just crazy, unbelievable stuff. These games are like the other day with the safety and the Kansas City game. I mean, some guy, that line could have been.
Oh my God! People were like with piano wire, ready to just hang themselves from the nearest, doorway. After that, I was in shock because I was already counting my money there. I ended up in a situation where I was laying 9 with the Chiefs. So you're sitting there on 11, and you're thinking, "Wow, they blocked the field goal! What a fucking miracle!" And
No,
sure
it
enough,
wasn't.
then you see this
It
clown.
wasn't.
You're
They
online.
blocked, it wasn't
What's that?
even they blocked the field goal. They ran the. They took
Yeah,
the snap on the punt. They were going to punt it, and they ran out of the end zone to make it 9.
exactly. Yeah, but when they blocked the field goal, you were thinking you were a winner. I
Yeah,
mean, you
right,
would have gotten online at the sports book and said, "Hey
right.
Mo, make sure you got that in hundreds. I want big bills." And next thing you know, you see this guy running around like he's running the Cal band play, and and he's going to take a safety, and you're like, I'm fucked. Unbelievable. Yeah, no, it's real tough. So would you say that a transformation may be in order even for old geezers like me, where because if you watch, I know, I think you're a fan of betting tennis also, and you got Djokovic and Alcaraz are playing this morning.
I just watched it.
You would not have given. I mean, whatever they would have had to be absolutely astronomical. The odds on Djokovic winning that match after he walked off the court in the first set. and he's surrounded by like medical people. They even had like a guy ready to do a heart transplant on this guy, and you're thinking, there's no way he comes back and wins against the hottest. I mean, among the hottest players on the tour. Maybe Sinner is in that category, but Alcaraz, I mean, is electrifying, and you're thinking, okay, he's going to breeze to an easy win.
Yeah.
Imagine if you would bet Djokovic then. I would imagine he was a reasonable underdog to begin the match anyway. But
I
well,
think he was, I think he was a plus 200 at, to begin the match anyways. And
yeah,
that situation against a young talent like a phenom like Alcaraz, to be down, injured basically, going off the court and comes back. I mean, I never see anything like it with this guy. I heard you saying it just before I came on. I
yeah.
mean, mental toughness in a whole different, stratosphere. This guy, I've never seen an athlete that can pull himself together. He did it. He won the tournament, I think, a few years ago in the same situation. He got injured early in the tournament, pulled himself together, and ended up coming back and winning the tournament. So, I mean, this guy, no wonder, he's the GOAT in tennis, 25 majors in his career. And, I mean, just unbelievable. He's just a pure talent. That's a generation. You see one maybe every 25 years like that.
They were talking about Gael Monfils, who's had stamina problems the last several years, the Frenchman, and they were saying, wow, look at this guy, the ancient warrior, he's 38. Fucking Djokovic is 37 and still doing it and coming back off that knee injury. Mental toughness, you would have to put him in the same
Oh,
handful of people that you've seen that people always credit Michael Jordan with being that guy. But
yeah, he's in the Mount Rushmore of play Tom Brady, Jordan, you name it, LeBron, Djokovic is absolutely. I've probably never seen a phenom like this guy. In tennis. I mean, yeah, Federer was great for so long, and Sampras was great, but I got to put Djokovic above those guys all time.
yeah, Federer had it, Nadal had it. But the Joker, I've never seen anything like this. And for him to win today, I mean, if it was plus 200, it would have been plus 20,000 when he was walking back on the court. I mean, but this is the time to dive in, Scotty M. I mean, do you agree? I mean, you have to have balls, or are you just looking at numbers? I mean, should you dive in on a proposition like that? No one would have given him the slightest chance of coming back and winning that match.
Not the way he looked going off the court, and then going against that, like you say, this young kid who's just a real lightning bug to begin with. Very difficult to play against him. He's just got a lot of stamina, and he's such a great young player in the tennis world. And when you have a disability going against a guy that's 15 years younger than you, and
Yeah.
that talented, yeah. I mean, the odds. If you bet that thing live, that thing must have been huge odds, huge.
Of course, I sat on my ass and said, "Hey, let me figure out what I'm going to say on these shows." All right. I don't know if you're diving into any college basketball, but we do have the two playoff games coming up. Do you want to touch on those?
I
Scott?
actually do like some college basketball. We've been red hot with our baskets.
Oh, good.
Knock on wood, we've been having a sensational, consistent season between college hoops and the NBA. There was a game that hit me tonight. You got a nice matchup here. You got Louisville playing against SMU. Louisville's been playing really, really well. I mean, they've had some off seasons of recent, but this team is playing right now on all cylinders. They're 4-1 on the road. They've won their last 8 straight games in a row. SMU came down here. You saw what they did to Miami. They won by like 40 something the other day. They're 8-2 at home. They play well at home, and they've won their last 3 straight. But I think this number is soft. I'm a numbers guy. I look for value. I think if SMU was right in this game, they would have been about 3.5. They made this number a soft number, 1.5. It's around 1.5, 2 at this point. I like the dog in this game. I think Louisville's got a big shot to go on the road, continue their winning ways. Like I said, they've won 8 in a row. And I've been making money with games like this. I look for these value spots where I think the line should be 1.5 or a couple of points higher, and they seem to be softer. So I'm thinking it's a trap kind of game where they're trying to get the attention one way more so than the other. And I think the dog in this spot is live. I think Louisville is a live play in this game. I'd actually probably get this line to 2.5. I would adjust it and just bring it to 2.5 and take Louisville as a live dog playing against SMU. That's the only game that kind of hit my radar. Again, there's a lot of games out there tonight. Got a couple of nice matchups. Mississippi State playing real well against Tennessee. Tennessee coming off a brutal loss against Vandy. Mississippi State winning a nice game against Mississippi the other day. They were up big and had to hold on to win it in overtime. But, that's a nice matchup, but I don't really have a play on it. But I do like Louisville tonight as a live dog. Plus 2.5, I'd get the line too. That's the only game that hit me in college hoops for tonight.
Oh, I love that about you, man. I mean, you're not one of these guys that's going to be all in need of a dilaudid drip because the football season's going to be over. You're already diving in, both fists, Scotty M, with a little college basketball. Louisville, the Cardinals to cover 2.5. You would like to jack it up to, but
Yep.
right now, a 1.5 point spread in their game on the road against SMU. All right, the Eagles are favored overall to win the Super Bowl championship this year. Now they what is this line at? It's plus 180. That's what I have. Chiefs second, plus 240. Bills plus 250. Commanders plus 700. Do you see anything of any value in that?
Yes, I definitely do. I made a comment on our show this past week, and I don't know if I mentioned it on your show the week before, but I said the winner of the game between Buffalo and Baltimore is going to the Super Bowl and probably will be the team to beat to win the Super Bowl for this year. I had Buffalo last week in the game, plus got it to plus 2. Crazy game, but it got the job done. Bottom line, at the end of the day, I got the win. I think Buffalo beats Kansas City this week. I really do. I like Buffalo in this spot. I think finally somebody's going to knock the Chiefs out of it from getting back to the Super Bowl. And I think this Buffalo team has all the nucleuses in the world and the toughness to match up against the Chiefs. And I think the Chiefs, unless they come with an A-plus game, I think Buffalo's just coming in there looking to just move on. I like the Bills in this spot as a live dog. And I think the Bills will win the Super Bowl this year. If they get past Kansas City, I think they beat the winner of the game between Washington and Philly. And I think the line on the game, it's going to be depends who it is. If it's Philly will probably be a very slight favorite against Buffalo in that spot. If Kansas City somehow finds a way to get in, obviously they'll be a small favorite. Depending on if it's Washington, they'll be a much bigger favorite. But if it's Philly and Kansas City, which it was recently, I think Kansas City will be a short favorite in that game. They're not making big numbers on these games at this point in time, but I do like Buffalo, yes, to win it all at this point.
All right, you would have to think everybody's been thinking this and saying it all season long that the Chiefs are highly vulnerable and suspect this year. There is a story out there we're trying to do some investigating on with our many resources that we have here at Bury Your Bookie that Tim Donaghy has been assigned to the officiating crew.
Yeah, there you go.
A former disgraced basketball referee. As there are many assertions out there. I don't know where you stand on this, Scotty. Never mind Patrick Mahomes and Brittany, that he is getting laid more often by the officials. And we did see a couple of really bogus calls that were laid on the Houston Texans in that game. D'Amico Ryans had every reason. That silly fine, shouldn't it be obligatory that the team pays the fine when the coach says, hey, you know what, these referees just fucking robbed us. So he gets fined $500,000 by the league. Goodell doesn't need the money. I don't even know what they do with the money. What do they start growing geraniums around the offices, the NFL offices, with this fine money? But look, the whole world saw what took place there, and there's no way around it. I mean, there's no way to take the lipstick, and put it on the pig because these calls were outrageous. I don't know, where you stand on that, but.
I'm so numb to it with Kansas City over the last several years. It just seems like they always get these calls that no one else gets on a consistent basis in their favor.
Brady rules, kind of the Brady rules.
Yeah, and you know what? Mahomes is in that category, like Jokovic and Jordan and LeBron and all that. I mean, it's just hard to knock this guy off the pedestal. I mean, he is a tremendous talent. I mean, if he finds ways, even if he doesn't have the best game, it's crazy how they find ways to rally around or whatever defense shows up when the offense isn't clicking. they're just a tough out. They are a tough out, but I think this year this year, this Bills team, I think, is a little more stronger mentally and physically. I think they can battle with a team like Kansas City. But this Mahomes is a tough out. He gets a lot of breaks, obviously, from the officials. It seems like that they give them a lot of opportunities to keep the ball and keep those drives alive with those crazy plays, defensive holding and this and that. So they always seem to keep the momentum where they're not punting, where they're moving the ball down the field. But I think this week they're going to be in for a tough one. Even though this game is in Kansas City, I think Buffalo's ready for them. I think they're coming in there with the right mindset. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Bills don't win this game by a touchdown or more.
Wow. Okay, that's stepping up a little bit. Yeah, it wouldn't shock me. I'm thinking that my initial lean. Now we said this last week, and this was another one of those games, Scotty M, that was absolute agony from a point spread standpoint. I mean, Mark Andrews has his hands on the ball. Holy Jackie Smith! What are we talking about here? And if he goes in, of course, the Ravens very much alive, and would have, in all likelihood, seen that game probably go to overtime. And sure enough, I mean, then it's going to be at least a 3-point margin, but one way or the other. So you're in there with a 50-50 shot if you had the Ravens when otherwise,
Yeah,
like you were dead.
a clutch receiver like Mark Andrews,
Great receiver.
missing the ball. I know he was, the field conditions weren't the greatest and the weather wasn't the greatest at the time. He was kind of slipping backwards and,
Yes.
obviously the ball, but it was such an easy pass. I mean, if you think about it, it's kind of crazy.
I kind of lost you there for a second there, Scotty M. But yeah, I would agree 1,000%. Hopefully we'll get Scotty. Yeah, there he is. Yeah, you got back up there.
Yeah, kind of crazy that a guy like Mark Andrews, who's so clutch and consistent, doesn't drop passes at all. Excellent tight end, and to drop a pass that's obviously it looks easy to all of us watching it,
Sure.
but you're not on the field in those conditions, and you're not slipping and sliding. His gloves were probably wet. I'm not making excuses for the guy, but I had Buffalo, but Buffalo would have had 1:33 on the clock with
Okay.
a couple of timeouts left, and that's a lot of time for a guy like Josh Allen. So even though they could have tied it up, and it could have maybe went to overtime or whatever would have happened, still Buffalo would have had 1:33 left with a couple of timeouts. They probably could have easily drove down and kicked the winning field goal or whatever the case may be. So, I understand what you're saying, but that was brutal to watch a guy like that at that level drop such an easy pass. Wow.
Yeah, as the people that had action with the Ravens in that game, which I think they went off laying one, where seeing their money just to go straight into the charcoal oven there, and burn like there was no tomorrow into confetti. All right, so I'm with you. I think Buffalo's riding a little wave of momentum that they haven't quite had in the past. They always seemed to be the team that was on a roll, but that would reverse. Lamar Jackson continues. I mean, regardless, I don't know that the loss was on him. He did rally them into a winning position at the end of the ball game. So in spite of that fumble, and then he threw a pick, which guys are sliding all over the place, as you said. So you can excuse away a couple of bad plays and not necessarily say the guy choked. But the way he rallied them into that situation where they could have tied the ball game with a minute and change to go, I think that more than acquitted him as not necessarily being the choking dog that many people see him as in the postseason. Now the other game, the Philadelphia Eagles. Look, I don't know how this Joe Shane, general manager of the Giants, who somehow miraculously kept his job there with Dayball after an horrific season. And I mean, you could not make a bigger blunder. How does this guy sleep at night? He lets Saquon Barkley go. We were talking about this with the great Mike Jones yesterday. Signs Daniel Jones to a massive contract.
Yeah.
Jones no longer with the team after being a flat-out bust, being replaced in the lineup by the likes of a Tommy DeVito. And Barkley, I mean, running through the snow, dashing through the snow, and as if he was being pulled by 7 or 8 reindeer, man. How many are there with Santa Claus, man? What does he have? I can't name them all.
I think he's going to have them.
What's the over-under on reindeer, Santa's sled?
7.5.
Yeah, 7 and a hook. But I mean, how can this guy look at this game and not think, my God, it's unbelievable? And it makes up for what I think is Jalen Hurts, who Hurts is the key word. I don't see him being nearly as effective as he was a couple of seasons ago, but he still is functional. He scores a touchdown early on to put Philadelphia on the lead. And what do you see there? Because the Commanders, I mean, this is Cinderella City or the post Dan Snyder revelation that, hey, it's okay to play some actual football.
I see this game being a really interesting game. I got to be honest with you, because this Washington team, man, they're just finding ways to score. They're scoring points, winning games, and yeah, Philly just seems to keep motoring on. They win these hard fought games, close games. I mean, they really didn't look good against Green Bay. Green Bay kind of lost a lot of weapons, made some mistakes, crucial mistakes that gave kind of Philly the edge in that game. Last week they didn't, they played pretty good, but they still had a shot to lose that game at the end. I mean, the Rams were in a perfect spot. They had the ball like on the 12-yard line, first down. Then they made a couple of blunders that took them, obviously out of the chance to take the lead in that game very late in the game. I mean, this Washington team right now is playing on all cylinders. I mean, you gotta look at them. They didn't get this far by making too many mistakes, so they had a really good, solid season. They're playing really well. This rookie quarterback's dynamite. I don't even call him a rookie. The guy looks as poised as anybody on the field on any team at this point in time. They're finding ways to score. Their defense has been pretty solid recently as well. Even though they let up a lot of points last week, that kind of game always is going to be a high-scoring game. That game figured. I had that play as an over 55.5. I just thought both those teams would score, but didn't expect Washington to play as well as they did. I think they got a big shot in this game. I mean, unless it's terrible, terrible weather and turnovers play a key role in the game, which it could. If the weather conditions are like last week there, then it's anybody's game. But I think Washington could give Philly a fit. I mean, they know each other. They're in the same division. So I wouldn't be shocked. I mean, 6 points, I think that's a lot of points to give a team like Washington that's scoring points, looks like very poised, not making many mistakes. The only thing they did do against Tampa Bay is when they had first and goal on the 3 and they couldn't put the ball in and 4 downs there. Then they had a first and goal on the 1 and couldn't score. You don't want to do that against teams like Philly where you give them the opportunities, because obviously that's going to be working against you. But I think Washington's got a big shot as a live dog in the game. Probably Philly will find a way to win it just because of that running game and probably keeping that offense of Washington's off the field. But I think it's going to be a close game. I would get this game to +7. I would take it right now and lock it up and take Washington as a live dog and +7. I think the dogs are barking this weekend, Defo. I think you got a live dog with Washington that can play, and you got a major live dog with, not that it's a live big-time dog, but you got two great teams that have shots to win those games, and they're dogs. I think there's a lot of value there.
Excellent stuff, Scotty M. You're on your game today, my friend. Now, if people want to get some guidance from you and subscribe to any one of your various services, you have a lot of different formats that you administrate this in. And how can they get in touch with you?
I'm going to do something for your audience only. I'm going to give them an opportunity to get in on a big-time play tonight that I'm releasing out to my private players. So all they have to do, if they want this bonus play, and this is one of the private games that I put out as a paid service, but I'm not going to charge anyone from your show. All they have to do is come to my Instagram channel, which is SM Sports, SPORTS Picks, PICKS, SM Sports Picks. Send me a DM me Defo, DEFO, and you're going to get my VIP private release tonight. The strongest play I have tonight in basketball on the house, no questions asked. Just put Defo, DM Defo. You'll receive that play on me.
I'm going to have to check that out, man. I got to see what that play is. Very, very emphatically stated by the great Scotty M. All right, Scotty, we wish you the best of luck with all of your endeavors. Thanks so much for joining us here on Bury Your Bookie, and we'll talk to you again next week, my friend.
All right, Defo, you be good, okay?
All right, we'll do. Scotty M, ladies and gentlemen. That was a pretty generous offer on his part. That was very nice. A little surprise there, and it's like the biggest game. How can you go wrong, my friends? Is it time for a change? The thought named and in the vein of the great racehorse who won the Flamingo Stakes many years ago over the heavy favorite in the race which was trained by Woody Stevens. Devil's Bag was the name of the horse. Devil's Bag, and he's defeated today. I can still hear the great dulcet tones of the brilliant race announcer Tom Durkin. Say, hey, he's defeated today. Everybody knew he was going to go up in smoke. He went off at 3-5. That's the problem, right? Just ignoring the obvious. So maybe it's time for transformation. Well, we'll start exploring this a little bit here. And while it's always entertaining, as Scotty M said, picking the sides, is the agony worth it as compared to just making impossible bets on the biggest of long shots and hoping that your ship comes in before your bankroll runs out? That's the story for today. Bury Your Bookie. We'll see you tomorrow. Troy West will be our guest on the program. Thanks so much for being with us. We'll see you next time. For the people at Bet Online, Greenlight Ventures, NoFilter.net, I'm Jeff DeForrest. We'll see you on the next edition of Bury Your Bookie.